right, let's go over that warm-up. The first thing you're going to do is figure out, does it have a greatest common factor? And the answer for this one is no, because if you broke them up into factors, I don't know, maybe we did 2 times 8, and maybe change that one to be 2 times 5. You'll notice that the first two have an x, but this one has no x, so x is not a greatest common factor. And then these two have a 2 in it, but this one does not have a 2, so 2 is not the greatest common factor. Okay, so and the answer is 2, there is no GCF. The second thing is, can you identify the A, B's, and C's? Again, you can write the form right above it. This is quadratic standard form. And we're basically going to factored form. Remember, there is a 1 right there, so my A value is 1. B value is negative 10. And my C value is positive 16. Okay, pay attention over here. Now, if your A value is equal to 1, all you have to do is just the x. So you have A times C, and this is your B value. A times C is 16, and your B value is negative 10. Then you're going to think about two numbers that multiply, or it's called the product. Those two numbers multiply to be 16. But the same two numbers that you pick are going to add, or the fancy word is their sum is negative 10. Now, one way you can think of those numbers is first think of all the factors of 16. So 16 times 1, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. Then you're thinking mentally, if you change those numbers to positive or negatives and add those together, does any of those equal 10? And we do have an answer right there. Okay, I'm just going to write those. And then you think of the combination. You can make them positive and negatives. Well, if I multiply a negative times a negative, that equals a positive 16. And if I add negative 8 plus a negative 2, gives me a negative 10. So those two numbers, you take negative 8, notice the order does not matter, and negative 2. And that's our answer. I do want to note that the reason why you're not taking, there is no box, because you only do that when A is greater than 1. So again, in our case, A is equal to a equal to 1, so we're just doing just this part. We're not doing this part. Okay, let's try question number 2. Tells us to factor completely. You can always pause right here and just try the problem yourself and then fast forward to get the answer, or you can just continue with me and do step by step. I'm going to write the form. And so I'm just using the same steps as we did over here. We need to find the greatest common factor. There is none. That's where I'm writing x. And then can I identify the A, B, and C's? I just did that. Well, pay attention now. A is 2, B is 9, and C is negative 5. So this means that I'm going to be not using this one, but I'm going to be using x and a box. So let's write that out. X and a box. And then I have A times C, which is negative 10. My B value, which is 9. I'm thinking of two numbers. I think it'll be 10 and 1. And I'm going to make this one a negative. So positive 10 times a negative 1 equals negative 10, and 10 plus a negative 1, or 10 minus 1, equals a positive 9. Now you put those in the bottom left and top right, and you need to have an x towards it. Because basically if you add those two in orange right here, what I just wrote, that equals the 9x that we had in the original problem. Then this term will go in the top left. And this C value will always go on the bottom right. And then what we're doing here is we're just taking out the greatest common factor. So going in that direction, it's a 2x. Going in this direction, it's a -1. This direction is just an x. Remember, the common mistake is switching these two, so if you need to, you can switch those, but they're correct right now. And then going in this direction, it is a 5, which is positive. And then you can always check your answer. 2x times x gives you 2x squared. -1 times x equals -1x. 2x times 5 gives you 10x. And -1 times 5 gives you -5. So what I have here on the outside is my answer. 2x minus 1 and x plus 5. That's it. And basically we're going to learn later that we're going to go from the outside of the box and to multiply to get to inside. Let's try question number 3. Question is, do I have a GCF? In this problem, the answer is yes. Remember, if you write out all the factors, you can do this. I have... Alright, so if you list out the factors, 7 times m times m times m equals 7m to the third. Okay, what do you do with the subtraction sign? I just like to write -1. Okay, here's your hint. This has a number of 7. So is there something, 7 times something equals 63? Yeah, that is 9. 7 times 9 is 63 times m. Okay, then we just got to figure out what do they have in common. So they have a 7 in common. And they have 1m in common. Okay, now everything that is not in pink or blue there, we're going to write back. Okay, so m times m is m squared. And then -1 times 9 is just -9. Okay, the tricky part for this problem, so we've done, let's review. We've identified our a, b, and c. Is it a equals 1 or a is greater than 1? Well, pay attention now. After taking the GCF, inside the parentheses right here, my a value is 1. So we're going to be doing that one, okay? It's a little tricky. Keep the GCF on the outside. We're going to put a 0x or 0m. Now, if you get confused with the letters, feel free to change them. So now we have this, okay? In that green there, we have to do our a times c, and then we're going to get our answer for in these parentheses. So a times c is going to be -9. My b value is 0, and the number I need is going to be 3 and -3. 3 times -3 equals -9. 3 plus -3 equals 0. So that 3 is a +3 and a -3. And this gives us our answer right there. It's probably the common mistake is the student just found the GCF and stopped. You have to consider here, is that a trinomial? And the last question, let's do the same thing. Greatest common factor. I see that this is even and this is even, so we can pull out a 2. 2 times something, that's x squared equals 2x squared. 2 times something equals -200. Well, that's -100. Okay, you have the same problem in this other problem, or the previous problem, is if you write out standard form, they're in pink, you'll notice I'm missing that middle term right here. And so the one that goes there is actually a 0x, okay? So a is the number in front of x squared, b is the number in front of x, and c is just the number or constant, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going, here in orange, I'm going to do my x method, because you notice that your a value is 1. So a times c is -100, b value is 0, And when you know that the b value is 0, here's another hint that the two numbers have to be exactly the same. The blue boxes will be exactly the same. One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. Well, that's going to be 10 and negative 10. So 10 and negative 10. So I'm going to write the 2. Now I have x plus 10, x minus 10 is our correct answer, and that should match what's here. Again, if you actually multiplied all of these out, if you multiplied there in pink, that would be our x method. Sorry, that would actually be the box. And then if you multiply it by 2, then you would get 2x squared minus 200. Okay, so those are 4 problems. Hopefully you get those correct so you can do your test really well. Good luck.